All right. I am here with Stacey Brown Randall. Hi, Stacey.
Hello, how are you today?
Good. So I am excited for our topic because we are going to talk about everything that we've been taught about referrals is wrong. So
It's going
telling
to be
people
awesome.
telling people they're wrong right off the bat is always an amazing experience. But you are the author of a book called Generating Business Referrals Without Asking. And then you also have the podcast that's the Roadmap to Grow Your Business podcast. And this is why you're the perfect person to talk about this. Can you tell us a little bit more about your background, and then let's get into some of the deeply rooted beliefs that are wrong?
Yes. Always happy to tell people when they're wrong,
Yes.
including my three children. Like I
I'm
never
sure
miss
they
an
love it.
opportunity, right?
Mhm.
Well, the good news is we don't just have to talk about being wrong. We can also talk about what to do instead, right? So
Right.
like there'll be a solution to go along with the problem that we're trying to help people overcome. But I really wish this would be awesome if I could be like, one day I woke up and God was like, yeah, Stacey, you're going to now be brilliant when it comes
Yeah.
to referrals, and you're going to do it differently than everybody's ever been taught, and you're going to be a contrarian, and it's going to be awesome. That's not how it went. I learned everything that I have now been teaching for almost a decade, way back when with the School of Hard Knocks.
Mhm.
I had a business that failed.
Oh,
And that's a whole other live stream
that happens.
episode, right? In and of itself. But the biggest lesson that I learned during that business failure, amongst the many lessons you learn when your ego takes a massive bruising and you have to go back to corporate America,
Oh,
it was bad, is okay, well, how am I going to be more successful? Or just let's be honest, how am I going to be successful?
right. Get into the black and then
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And that doesn't worry about more yet. Let's just actually get there to being successful. But what am I going to have to do different? I mean, that's what it ultimately comes down to when you have a business failure. Is like, what do I got to do different that's going to allow me to be successful? And I realized that ability to fill your prospecting pipeline, to have enough people that
Right.
are potential clients filling that
This is
pipeline.
like the roller coaster, right? Of real
Oh my
estate.
gosh.
It's like people are like, I mean, you get so much motion sickness because your pipeline's not full.
My favorite thing with real estate agents that I work with, they're always like, I got 3 closings next month. I'm like, awesome. And in 3 months, they're like, yeah, I got nothing.
Exactly. Because you were filling your pipeline.
Right.
Closings don't even matter. I mean, they matter, but like really that's done. It's over.
Yes. I mean, it's so true. But you know what? It's not just real estate. That's like in everything. It's like,
Right.
It's like the consultant that has the project. It's like, okay, great. When it's done, what happens?
Right.
I mean,
Right.
like it's with everything.
Right.
It doesn't matter.
Every
the industry,
business.
really.
Yeah.
And so for me, it was like, I got to figure out how to fill that pipeline, but I'm the mom to 3 kids and I like spending time with my husband. And so the networking every night and the multitude of rubber chicken dinners or the Zoom multitude of virtual meetings that happen for networking and stuff, it just wasn't going to work. It didn't really work the first time around, even though my business had some marginal success. It wasn't going to work the second time around. And I was like, I got to figure this out. So I was like, well, I really should be getting referrals because that's where it's at, right? That's where like usually the best clients come from. They're easy to close. They're quick
It's the
to
biggest
close. They're less
return on your
price sensitive.
investment. Yeah.
Totally. I was like, so let me get some of those referrals. And then I realized, like everybody else, I'm like, so how do I get referrals? And the number one piece of advice is you got to ask for them. And I was like, oh no. We will not be looking desperate. I will not be uncomfortable because I know what it's like to do strategies and tactics that make me feel ick.
It never works. You have to be authentic.
Yeah, because you won't, it's anybody. I tell my husband all the time, I'm like, anybody can cold call one day, but I want to know if you can still do it 365 days later.
Right.
Like if the strategy doesn't work for you in the long term, why are you trying to make it work for you in the short term? And so for me, it was like, okay, let's throw some spaghetti on the wall and let's see what will stick in regards to how I can generate referrals that I don't have to ask for, manipulate, take advantage of reciprocity, compensate for, don't have to network to know a ton of people. Like there's got to be another way. And I do have the ability to reverse engineer how and why things are happening. And I look at things from like a social economics perspective, a psychology perspective, brain science perspective. That's all kind of in my background. And it's always funny how you're uniquely prepared for where you ultimately sometimes end up, even though you couldn't see it when you were going through it.
I got here.
Right. Like, oh, I actually know why this is working, not just because I think so.
Exactly.
It's like, I know the science behind it. And so it was one of those things where I was like, okay, I'm going to try to get referrals. And this was for my second business. I was like, let's just stay out of the failure club. We've got our membership badge. But in a
Referrals.
way, yeah, but to have a successful business, to grow it in a way that worked for me and worked. The results were super important. And so I just did it. It was like throw spaghetti in the wall, see what happens. My first year in that second business, I generated 112 referrals that I didn't ask for or do any of the other stuff nobody wants to do. Continued to hit that number consistently every year after. And eventually I shifted that entire second business to doing what I do now, which is I just teach people this strategy that I had to learn to stay out of membership badge number 2 and the business failure club. And that's what I teach folks. And it's more of an authentic way. It's like, it's fun. It's way more fun. It doesn't mean it's not work though. So I want to be really clear. Like, I don't have the silver bullet. I don't have your easy button. I'm not Staples. Like, I do want to be clear that there is work involved, but it is so much better than all of the other.
Well, that's because it is more aligned with who you are as a person, right?
Yes. And I believe, and I believe 98% of the rest of the world thinks and feels like I do. There are very few people who are like, yay, I get to ask for referrals today. Nobody's waking up and saying, like 2% of the world is waking up and saying that. The rest of us are saying, I would do anything. Right. I would rather do anything than have to actually go ask for a referral.
So give us a little bit of a nugget and then we can, just give us a little nugget because I know it's all in your book.
Right. Well, I always tell folks, if you really want to build a referable business, so the real estate agents that I work with, I'm always talking to them about, if you want to build that referable business, there are 3 main strategies you really need to have into place. Now, you don't put them into place all at the same time, but these 3 strategies allow you to just like let go of all the old ways. I call them the old school referral triggers, the old school ways you've been taught to generate referrals. You don't need to do all the asking and networking and hoping strategy that they're going to show up. Like, you actually can have a strategy you put in place.
Networking is like the most awkward thing in the world, right? Does anybody actually like it?
Oh, there are definitely some people who love it.
I hate it. Anyway.
I think it's one of those things that's like, it works until but if it's the only thing that works and it's the only thing you're doing, it's exhausting.
It's exhausting. Right.
I'll say this, my favorite thing when people are like, well, I just happened to I was networking, and I was at the right place at the right time. And I always laugh and I'm like, do you know what that means? Do you know what it means to be at the right place at the right time with all your networking? It means you're at all the places all the time so that the right place and time can actually happen.
It's too much.
It is. It's way too much. And, and it doesn't matter what you have going on in your life. Work, business should not be the main thing. It shouldn't be the only thing, the only driving thing. And if you're spending all day working and then all night networking, like, that's exhausting.
Yeah, that's a lot. It makes me tired talking about it.
Well, and then think about it, right? We're talking about real estate agents. So not only are you working all day, you're actually like meeting people at houses on your Saturday and Sunday too. And you're showing them, right? Or you're doing open houses. Like, I used to be a real estate agent and it was many, many years ago.
I'm so sorry. No, I'm just kidding.
It is actually how my husband and I bought our first house. Thank you. Real estate was really good to us, but it wasn't something I wanted to continue doing. The first time I had to show a house when my babysitter canceled on me at the last minute. And I showed those houses with my 6-month-old strapped to a baby Bajorn on my chest. I was like, nope, never again.
Not happening.
This is not for me.
No.
But I intimately know the world that real estate agents find themselves in. And I know at the end of the day with how hard they work and their phones are always on and they do have to sometimes work nights and weekends until they get to a place where they feel like they can put up boundaries and say, no, I will not show you houses on a Sunday.
Right.
I know how hard that can ultimately be. And if there's a way for them to grow that business easier, going to do some work, but it's going to feel better. I just think it's important for them to understand that all the people you've been learning from, whether at your company or other real estate experts that are teaching you this stuff in the referral space, if they're teaching you strategies and tactics that are exhausting or they don't like fit who you are.
They don't fill you up. Yeah. They actually drain you.
What most people don't know is that don't worry, there is another way. Yes. You just got to learn it. And so back to what I was saying about these 3 foundational strategies, right? Because you're right. One of these strategies is like, my book is all about it. And so people can get the book, Generating Business Referrals Without Asking, and they can dig into one of these strategies. But I want you to understand what the 3 are, because that is truly how an agent's going to build what we call a referable business, which means that yes, you have strategies in place, but you're also doing things that allow you to cultivate more referrals too. So number 1 is you've got to have a strategy for your existing referral sources. So if you've been in business longer than a year or two, more than likely you've received some referrals, maybe a bunch, maybe a couple, but you have people who have referred you in the past.
Right.
Having a strategy to get more referrals from them consistently is definitely one of the foundational strategies you have to play. You have to have in place. So it's getting more referrals from your existing referral sources, from the people who already refer you. The second strategy is more than likely you need more people referring you.
Probably need more people referring. Yes.
So how do you turn clients and contacts into referral sources, right? So we call that the potential referral source strategy.
Okay.
There is a way to cultivate somebody into a referral source without ever having to say, do you know anybody else who's looking to buy or sell a home? Like you never have to state that line again, but you do have to do some other things, right? So of course, that's a strategy for potential, or what we call soon to be referral sources. And then the third strategy is actually having a referable client experience, which is a two-parter. One, it means you actually do things a little bit different and with some intentionality to actually deliver an amazing client experience, which makes you referable.
You are speaking. So my co-host on the podcast is Monica Weekly, and you and her are like, I feel like I'm talking to her.
Right.
Yes. Okay.
Awesome. Yeah. So within the referable client experience, it's one, do the things that make you referable. And then two, there's actually times and moments within your client experience where you can be cultivating referrals and doing it in a way that works for all of your clients. And so it's those three strategies. We call them the foundational strategies. They're like the bottom of the pyramid when we're building up our building blocks of the things you need to know, the strategies or the tools in your toolbox. There's a bunch more, like situational referral strategies on top of that. And there's another one on top of that called next level. But really, I tell folks, if you can get these three strategies in place,
you're good to go.
You're going to be awesome. So I had a real estate agent that I worked with. She did one strategy. And her one strategy was that she was going to take the people who have been referring her. So her existing referral source strategy, the people who've been referring her, and she built the referral plan the way that we teach it. She identified her existing referral sources. She built her plan. She used the language, and she averaged, before we started working together, 12 referrals a year, which is not terribly shabby.
Great.
Right?
Yeah.
It's not a bad thing. But then she decided, I'm going to take better care of these people and use specific language, the language that we teach. And she did that for an entire year. In the first quarter of the next year, she received 11 referrals.
Wow. That's so great.
12 in 1 year.
Yes.
To 11 in 3 months.
Yeah.
And
that's awesome.
Of the 11 that she closed, because we don't expect anybody to close every referral received, but of the 11 that she closed, it brought her $75,000 additional that quarter in commission.
Boom.
And she was like, wait, all I got to do is do, like, take better care of these people that are like,
is that easy?
Is it? And I'm like, yes,
that's it.
Like, does it work that fast for everybody? No. And I wouldn't guarantee that I would expect you to do what you did in 1 year and 1 quarter, but she's not the first real estate agent I've seen do that. I have another one who did the same thing. And it's pretty similar numbers as well. And the reality is people just don't pay attention that actually what we want as humans is that we are craving connection and experience in a different way that people aren't paying attention to.
Yeah.
But that means you got to be willing to learn something different to make it happen.
Yeah. Because there is like all these myths about how to generate leads, and especially leads from like your sphere. And it does require, I mean, it's been taught to us that it requires action. So you have to like kind of unlearn that in this process, I imagine.
Yeah, I can always tell when I have a real estate agent come into one of my programs, and I'm not going to say they're brainwashed, but they're definitely drinking the Kool-Aid of other ways it's supposed to be done, because that's the way it's always been done. And it takes a little bit of time before the light bulb goes off and they have that aha moment, and they have to unlearn some of the things, because a lot of times you're told just directly ask or text somebody every 60 days and say, how you doing? And pretend like there's not an alternative motive. I mean, give me a break. We all know.
Yeah.
When you say, how are you doing?
Yes.
You've got a motive.
Yes.
Right? So you've been taught you got to run contests and challenges, or you've been taught to do your drive-bys and your pop-ins, and to do the little, like the cute little cheeky items and things like that. Like the industry has been inundated with ways to grow their business. And if those things are working for you, I do want to be like, hey, if that's working for you, I don't want to break what's working.
No, but that's the point, right? Like if it's working, great. But if it's not working, then then you've got to try something else. And if you want a business by referral, then this is the like opposite of what you've been doing. You might as well try it.
Exactly. And so when I see people create their plan and I'm like, this looks like a plan that you learned 3 years ago, I'm like, nope.
No.
Because one of the things I do in my programs is that I actually review the work that my clients actually produce. Cause I'm like, I gotta know you got it. When I talk to you, right? I got to know you got it. So there's a process we go through and we actually review people's plans. I always can tell when I've got a real estate agent, even if I don't realize they're an agent, I can look at that plan and be like, I know exactly. And I can always sometimes
I feel personally attacked, Stacey.
I know, I'm so sorry. I don't mean it like that, but I can sometimes tell what company they're with. And I'm like, come on, like, let's just think outside of the box here. Again, when people roll into my world, right, they're ultimately already looking for something different. So when I have to go back as gently and kindly as possible and be like, we got to rework this. To be honest, that's what they want to hear from me.
It is.
They want to hear, no, you can do it different. It can look different.
Because they already know that way is not working. So by doing it different, that renews the hope that it will work, right?
Right. But sometimes they still get stuck in the old ways. I'm like, nope, you're going into default state.
Come this way.
Right? Come back over here. Go out of default state. But I love it when the light bulb goes off because when they're like, exciting. Oh, this is really cool. The other thing is that you're taught that your constant activity and your constant engagement with your sphere and your database is what ultimately drives all of your business. And when I teach them like, oh, no, with your referral sources, the ones who have referred you in the past, you're not going to reach out to them more than 5 to 7 times in a year. They're like, what?
Right.
I'm not doing something daily, weekly, or monthly. I'm like, nope. Because that actually negatively impacts how open I am to hearing from you when I do.
You're annoying at that point.
Because I know what's coming.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Well, Stacey, that was a lot of like really like thought-provoking ideas. You almost have me thinking that I should do business by referral. No, I'm just kidding. It is definitely easier.
You're welcome to join us.
How can they get a hold of the book? How can they get in touch with you if they're interested in learning more about this? What's the best way?
Here's the best thing I would tell you. I always tell folks, like, learn more before you decide this is the journey you want to go on. It's going to be fun and exciting. And I think I'm a lot of fun. So you're going to enjoy it. But what I always tell folks is just check out the book, because the book's going to break down one of those 3 foundational strategies that, as I was teaching. And for those who purchase the book, there is a very special secret link inside the book where you can download additional resources, like just consume it, right? Consume the resources, consume the book. I have lots of people who read the book and they're like, I know exactly what to do. And off to the races they go, and they don't have to work with me. Yeah. But obviously there are ways to work with me if you want more and you want more hand-holding and you want to understand exactly what it looks like. So of course that's available, but just start with the book. It's called Generating Business Referrals Without Asking. It's available wherever books are sold, not just on Amazon. So you can support your local bookstore or somebody else, an independent, but it's called Generating Business Referrals Without Asking. Buy the book, read it. They actually my publisher puts the time it takes to read the book on the back. It's like 100-ish minutes. Like it's going to be a fast read. Yeah. No, I'm not Dan Pink. I'm not writing a 700 word or 700 page book.
I got you.
So it's a fast read. Get the resources, start consuming them. You'll find your way into my free Facebook group, Referrals Without Asking. You may start listening to the podcast. You may join, come over and follow me on social media, join me on LinkedIn, and you'll start understanding how I teach. And then when you're ready to take the next step, we're there. But until then, just get the book and get started with understanding that this new way of referrals, it may be new for you. It's not for us. We've been doing it 10 years.
Right.
But this new way is actually something that, could definitely work for you.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. Well, I really appreciate you being on, Stacey. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Bye.